are powers on Earth too hidden to be seen, and conspiracies too vast to comprehend. For years, the world has seen fact distorted, reality manipulated, and the truth concealed. Join the Pierre Sebak podcast to uncover the real meanings behind ancient aliens and their symbolism.
Hi, this is Pierre Sebak, unlocking the keys to the mysteries. Now, today I thought I would talk about the opening wheels, but I thought I would talk about them in context to the thrones. Now, I'm not going to go into any heavy etymology in this video. I thought I would just talk about the opening wheels in a generic way and just look at the symbolism. So I'm just going to try and keep the symbolism very basic and at a basic level, and just look at really how the opening wheels interrelates with the symbology of the thrones. Now, the thrones are typically categorized as a grade of angel within ecclesiastical symbolism, but the thrones is really used to denote the throne of God. The throne of God is a throne chariot in a literal sense, again going back to the symbology of the opening wheel. The opening wheel is the old archaic word for a flying saucer. Okay, so I'm just going to look at the opening. Now, typically, oph and a wheel is related to the stem pana, which is to turn. So it's a spinning wheel, it's a turning wheel. And again, there's a close correspondence with ophir, meaning gold. In this respect, a shining wheel, a spinning wheel. Okay, so again, this is really a flying saucer and is used to denote a vehicle of a deity. Within symbolism, it's used to denote a chariot or a ship, and the chariot or the ship is related to the shield or wheel, which is a vehicle of a deity. Now, in exotheological literature, the wheel is equated with the throne of God. And therefore, the throne of God is another word which we can use to denote a throne chariot. The throne chariot is a carrier which is typified with the symbolism of the opening wheels. The opening wheels are these aerial vessels which are equivalent in today's parlance to a flying saucer. So, certainly within the symbolism, we can see that the throne of God can be represented as an elevated chair, and indeed, certainly on money from the archaeological records, money actually shows the throne chariot, which is this throne which is flying with a wheel. So the combination of the throne and wheel, which is this flying chariot. And again, the throne and the wheel often are shown in juxtaposition together with a winged wheel, or often the wheel is shown as a serpent. So we have what is essentially a denomination of the seraphic host. As I've mentioned before in my previous videos, Sabaoth, the angelic host, is related to Saba army. Again, Saba army is closely concordant with Sepheth, which is a viper or a seraph. So this is the seraphic host. Now, the wheel, again, is this vehicle or a vessel of a divinity, and it really can be understood to be a seat of intelligence. It's the seat of governance, which is equated to an angelic ship or a vessel. Again, we would say the ship of state. The ship of state is government, gubernatio, which is to steer a vessel, kubernao, to steer a vessel. So these are all signifiers of the ship of state, which are accorded to government. Now, as I've mentioned again in previous videos, the depiction of the wheels is closely concordant with worship. Ship as in a boat, which is the veneration of an angelic vessel. In Arabic, Sabar is to glorify, is equated to Sabaoth, which is the host. Sabaoth is related to teva, which is an ark, sevet, which is a crew. So this is the veneration of an angelic ship. Sabah is to glorify. In this respect, the glorification of an angelic ship, in English worship. The worshippers are seated within the nave of a church, Latin navis, a ship. Again, religion, religare, more, a vessel. So these are all etymologies which are accorded to worship, which are identified with the opening wheels in respect to both the thrones, which is a type or grading of angel, and the throne chariot, which is the seat of God, which in this respect is equated with the opening wheel, which, as we said before, is the old word for a flying saucer. Now again, the throne chariot would therefore denote that the Elohim rule over the earth, and this is important. Now, the thrones and the Ophanim, they're often viewed in context to living creatures, so therefore the Ophanim wheels are often identified in biblical symbolism, such as in the book of Ezekiel with the Elakeh, a high creature. In modern parlance, we could say that a high creature is an extraterrestrial biological entity. Now, the terminology Elakeh is a polymorphic symbol. A high creature is can also be translated as a living God. Terminology high creature and living God are one and the same. So the living God or a high creature are accorded with the Ophanim wheels. The Ophanim wheels are interchangeable with both the chariot and within Hellene symbolism with the spinning shield, a type of projectile which is used which is placed into a catapult and is used as a type of weapon, a type of missile. In symbolism, the missile therefore is equated with the missionary. The missionary is equated with an envoy from a vessel, which is accorded with a missile, which is an Ophanim wheel. Okay, so the symbolism is all interrelated. Now, specifically, we're dealing here then with a foreign power, which is attributed to an angelic being, and the angels and the aliens are one and the same within the Aramaic. So Zar, an angel, is polymorphic with an alien or a stranger, a foreigner. Okay, they're one and the same. Again, Zar, an angel or an alien, is considered to be Muzar, which would be strange. So this is another important signifier. Hence the correspondence with a stranger. Zar is a stranger, Muzar is strange. But the terminology is denoting Zar, which is an angel or an alien. Now, again, the vehicles of God is really a vehicle of intelligence, hence the correspondence with nous, the mind, nous, a ship, and pneuma, which is the spirit, because they impart knowledge. The Ophanim wheels impart knowledge through the spirit. We would say today it's a type of smart technology, and the angels were maybe using microwave radiation or some type of energy source in order to transfer ideas or words into the mind. But within the ancient world, this was conveyed or understood as the spirit, as speaking via the spirit. So the vehicle of an intelligence, which is a throne or a wheel, these are mental devices, and they are joined, the Ophanim wheels are typically therefore joined or coupled to the mind of a deity, and it can really be understood to be a type of an appendage of the deity. So the wheels and the deity are seen to be interrelated. They are one and the same thing. They are joined together. And again, within Greek symbolism, the chariot comes from the etymology of amos, which is to join, because the chariot is joined. It is a vehicle of intelligence, and therefore it has connotations of the angelic wheels, which again is a vehicle of intelligence. Now, within the angelological tradition, certainly within the book of Exodus, the Ophanim wheels can be understood to be a type of sentient creature, and this is because the wheels can talk or they communicate. They are connected to the angel. They are connected to angelic communication. And again, the Ophanim wheels are therefore connected metaphorically within the symbolism to the face of God, and the etymology of the face of God is found within the book of Exodus. So therefore we find that there is this etymological correspondence between God speaking and the face of God talking in the book of Exodus to Moses. Panim, a face in the Hebrew, but the etymology of panim, a face, is related to the root pana, which is to turn. Now, pana is very important because pana is also the root for the etymology of ophan, which is a wheel. So panim, the face, is used as a clayleptical symbol of pana, to turn, and it's switched. The face of God is switched because to turn is concordant with ophan, a wheel. So the face of God can be understood to be a turning wheel. The turning wheel has a connotation of an angelic vehicle or an angelic carrier or receptacle of a deity. So again, if we looked at the etymology of pana, to turn, and ophan, a turning wheel, in English we'd say that the similar etymology would be whirl and wheel. So again, we're finding a similar correspondence. That type of correspondence would be a polyglottal symbol, a wordplay which repeats in multiple languages. So we can say therefore that the face of God at one level can be understood to be an indescribable object. It is both elevated because the face of God relates to the Elohim, the high ones. Again, it's shining because pana, to turn, is related to ophan, a wheel, but there is this correspondence of the Old Semitic root ophir, meaning golden. It has this connotation of something which is golden. Now, the Elohim can also transfer thoughts telepathically. They are considered, therefore, to be mystical agents of the divine will, and this is why the Ophanim are often symbolized as a type of angel. But when we begin to break it down, the Ophanim wheels, although they are telepathic and they're identified with an angel, are separate. But because we've got the etymologies in the Greek in particular between a vehicle being a vehicle of the intelligence, which we find also within the English, then we see that there is this, if you like, this relationship between this idea of the Ophanim, which can transfer thoughts and is therefore personified as an angelic being. Okay, and again, this suggests that the angelic vessels are intelligent. The Ophanim wheels are sentient objects. They have artificial intelligence, and therefore we could say that they are sentient. They are like a living creature. So, just to summarise, we can say morphologically that pana, to turn, is where we would get the etymology of panim, which is a face, which is the face of God in the book of Exodus, which is used to denote ophan, which is a turning wheel. So in the book of Exodus, we have in chapter 33, verse 11, the Lord would speak to Moses face to face, panim, as a man speaks with his friend. Panim being the root of pana, to turn, and ophan, which is a wheel. So again, the face of God is used cryptically to denote a spinning wheel. So the spinning wheel can be understood to be a type of glorious power. It is equated with the intelligence of the Elohim, with the mind of the Elohim. The Ophanim wheels are sentient. They are often personified as an angelic being, but as I've said before, the angelic wheels are distinct or separate. They are the vehicle or the carrier of a deity. In today's parlance, a flying saucer. Now, within the Hebrew, kabod, meaning the glory of God, is coming from the root literally a weight. Okay, so the glory of God can in many respects be understood to be a force because it's a weight, it's a force. So again, kabod is denoting the angelic force, and again it's used to denote a heavy round vessel. So this force is equated with a heavy round vessel because of the etymological correspondence in Hebrew between kabod, glory, literally meaning a weight. I translate this as the force of God, connoting the angelic host. The glory of God is really connoting the force of God, which is the angelic host. It's connoting the weight of God, the force of God. But again, the terminology force is correspondent here with kavit, a barrel, and it's kabod, glory, kavit, a barrel. Again, barrel in the English etymology is related to the Greek root baros, which means heavy. So the heavy barrels are circular. The barrel is used as a vessel. It's a cytological motive of an angelic carrier, of an angelic ship, because in the Greek a vessel is also used to denote a ship, as it is within the English. So the barrel is used to denote a heavy wheel, a large heavy wheel, which has a connotation of a ship. It also is connoting a carrier of the multitude or the host. Now again, the wheel or the barrel is connected in symbolism to the fertility cult. This is because one of the Greek etymologies for barrel, is related to both olkas, which is a large ship or a vessel, but it's also related to the etymology of testicle. So the barrel can be understood to be a type of olive. Again, it's related to an olive or a barrel which contains olives, but the olive is used to denote a testicle, which goes back into the fertility cults. So the barrel can be understood in this respect to equate to a seed receptacle. Again, in the symbolism, it'd be closely concordant with a basket, which would have connotations of a woman's womb, but again is a seed receptacle. So the opening wheels are a type of seed receptacles. They are equated in the cytological tradition, or koutos, meaning a vessel, so the study of angelic vessels. They are equated with the planting of the Adamic man. Panspermia is the planting of the Adamic man. Spermia, meaning seed, in this respect would connote a seed container. But again, the seed as a connotation of the heavenly seed, which can be symbolized astrologically as the stars. So the stars in the skies can be understood to be seeds. So the opening wheels carry the seeds from other worlds, and they have planted them upon the earth. And so therefore the seed container is another word for a ship of the host, which is equated with the receptacle or the womb, and the male and female sexual organs, which go back into the guarded or the secret traditions of panspermia, the planting of the Adamic seed upon the earth. Now, again, this goes back into symbolism of the spirit. It's very transcendental, and therefore we really are dealing with the crossover point, if you like, the crossroads between the incorporeal and the physical realm. And this again is closely accorded with the opening wheels, which is a type of angelic ship. And again, this is because the angels are equated with these angelic vessels, and the angels, an elakei, a high creature, can dematerialize as the ru'akh Elohim, the high spirits. So again, the jinn, which is another word for a spirit, are understood to be this holographic culture. They have deconstructed the mechanics of physical reality so they can live outside of time and space, and their ships are an extension of this idea that they exist outside of time and space, that they are, if you like, masters of the waveform. So, within the symbolism, we can say that kabod, which is God's glory, is also found, which is denoting this weight, which has this connotation of kavit, which is a barrel. It also, within the Gnostic teachings, has this connotation of the pleroma, that which is full. That which is full would have a connotation of the barrel and the planting of this lineage or this seed, the Adamic seed, and again is equated with the grafting together of a human angelic bloodline, the stitching together of bloodlines, which are used to denote a hybrid. But in the ancient Semitic languages, is equated with grafting or the stitching together of a bloodline. So again, the family tree is important because it signifies the grafting of a bloodline. Again, the serpent and the tree is this grafting together of the Adamic bloodline. Now the pleroma, that which fills, is related in Gnostic teaching to the fullness of the spirit, pleres, which is full. And again, the fullness of the spirit is this idea of the spiritual universe or the totality. In Neoplatonic philosophy, this would be the aeonic field, which can be understood to be the emanation of God, if you like, the fragmentation of the divine into physical form. And in Pythagorean symbolism, this would denote the Pythagorean monochord. So the monochord is this string. The lowest vibrations or the slowest vibrations is physical matter, whereas the quickest vibrations or the highest notes is the spiritual realm. And so the different dimensions, according to Pythagorean thinking, are different notes on the Pythagorean monochord. So different notes are important because they signify different dimensions. So they are, if you like, music is the vehicle into different dimensional reality. Now, the aeon is therefore a type of emanation. It's the materialization of the spirit into living beings, the logos word into living matter. Okay, so it's the vibration of the word or the spirit, spiritus, which is the breath, which vibrates, which turns into or is transformed into light, the photon, which can be understood to be a particle, which is the holographic universe and the materialization of living beings from universal forms or the implicated order into the explicated order, into physical reality. Okay, now this knowledge is again equated with the angelic host and their opening wheels, because the opening wheels are these vehicles or devices which are symbolized as cogs because they are constructed from a series of cogs, but they are seen to be physical objects, and they are buried at temple sites allegedly within the Greek and the Hellenistic and also within the Japanese symbolism. They are represented as being buried at archaeological sites, so they are thought of as being physical objects, but these objects, these technological objects, have the ability to disassociate from physical reality. So again, the Elohim, the ru'akh Elohim, the high spirits, can disassemble reality. And the emanation of the aeon, which is the interference pattern, or the hologram, which is really the spirit being manifested into physical reality. The aeon is a concentric circle. The concentric circle is the interference pattern, or is a symbol of the hologram. But again, within Judaic and Kabbalistic symbolism, it's accorded with the sphere. The sphere is Sephira, which is a sphere in Judaic symbolism, is accorded to Seraph, and Sephina, which is a boat. So these are angelic spheres or boats, which are accorded to the angels, which are these angelic carriers. And again, this idea that these angelic carriers are accorded with the Godhead. Panim, a face, is related to Pana, to turn, and Ophan, which is a wheel. So the turning face of God is an opening wheel, which again is represented by the Elohim, the high one. So this is a high wheel. And again, the Ophanim really can, in this respect, be understood to be a somneumatic species. Soman is the Greek word for a body, pneuma is spirit. So they are a species which are both physical and spiritual, and they have deconstructed the reality between the physical and the spirit, the Pythagorean monochord. They are able to go between these different vibratory states. They are outside of time, they are outside of space, and they have deconstructed the spiritual realm. And therefore, the holographic, the angels are accorded with a holographic culture. They have, if you like, they have been assigned to the laws of creation. They are the planters of worlds, and they are comparable in my work to a holographic culture. They are beings that embody both the Elakea, high creature, but they are, if you like, mirrored collectively in their spiritual form as the Ruach Elohim, which are the high spirits. So I just want to try and there's quite a lot of information. I didn't really want to go into too much etymology, but I guess sometimes it is inevitable when we're talking about symbolism, particularly deep symbolism, and how it's codified. But I really just want to point out on a final note that when we look at the Ophanim wheels, that they are often profiled, certainly within occult symbolism, as a flying saucer. So the term Ophan, a wheel, a spinning wheel, is used cryptically to denote a flying saucer. Now the terminology saucer is because the Greek and the Greek word for a shield is polymorphic. It can also denote a saucer. But again, within the ancient mysteries, the votive dishes, which were used to worship, ship being an angelic vessel, were in the shape of a wheel. A wheel. The wheel was the Ophanim wheels, which they were venerating. So they would worship, and they would have these votive dishes which they would make sacrifices to the Ophanim wheels. Now the flying saucer therefore can be understood in the ancient languages to be a type of a votive saucer, a type of votive dish. But again, it's going back into the traditions of the Olo carrier, which can be understood to be a seed basket or a holder, which is the planting of the Adamic seed and the grafting together of bloodlines which are recorded with the angels. So this is very important. If you like, the symbolism is duplex between the sacrificial plate and then this carrier or seed basket or receptacle and the replanting of the seed upon the earth through panspermia. In the Quranic tradition, this would be the second creation. So in this respect, we can say that the Ophanim wheels, that they are often veiled and they have been redacted from the ecclesiastical symbolism. So the angels usually are not represented in terms of their their symbolism of the wheels. But certainly within the ancient etymology, Malak, an angel, was accorded to Malak, a sailor, and they are deemed as being emissaries from these vessels, which could be symbolized as a wheel, as a throne chariot, as a type of ship, or a type of shield. All of this goes back into the Sourcicles. The Sourcicles venerated these vehicles, these angelic carriers. Hence their votive dishes were in the shape of a wheel to signify the opening wheels, to signify these carriers. Hence we would talk about worship, ship as in an angelic vessel, religion, religare to more a vessel. In Arabic, Sabah is a polyglottal symbol of Sabaoth, which is the angelic host, again the glorification of the angelic host. This goes back into the practices of sacrifice, of appropriations made to deities. And again, in the modern jargon, we would, in the occult, this would be cross-compatible with animal mutilation, and that the ancients were, in many respects, copying the animal mutilations that they were seeing, and that they did see that there was a relationship between the flying saucer, which is a votive dish, and the taking of livestock, hence their veneration of these vessels. And again, that this goes back into the seraphic tradition of the host, hence a relationship between Gul, which is a type of blood-sucking jinn, and Galgal, which is a wheel, which is the old Semitic etymology used interchangeably to describe the opening wheels. But again, there is this relationship in the Semitic between Junna, a shield, Jana, to hide or to conceal, and the jinn, because the jinn were represented in flying shields. And the etymology of jinn is related to the old Semitic noun jen, a serpent, hence the jinn are translated as the seraphim. The seraphim are serapha, shining fire, which annotates those who are born from Sirius, the shining one. The seraphim are therefore astrologically equated with Sirius and the opening wheels. Okay, that is a breakdown of the opening wheels. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, then please give this video a thumbs up. Please share my videos, and again, if you are interested in my work, please support my work and buy a book, Holographic Culture or the Murder of Reality. This is Pierre Sabac. It's great to be back again. Thank you for listening. Let's try and make this a better world. Thank you very much.